To me, there's different types of visualization. There's my own visualization, and that's when I need to see if a product idea is viable. And then I've got to get this idea out of my head and into the client's head so that they can visualize it too. In all our design projects, we do a lot of rough sketches, a lot of mock-ups, just to show the ideas and how they work. In this last project we did, it was a gear construction toy, and it had a lot of moving parts and things that needed to spin and fit just right. And this rough mock-up, showing it to the client, it was obviously not going to do the trick. Sometimes, no matter how many renderings or sketches or mock-ups you do, the client still doesn't get it. But with Macintosh and Swivel 3D, I was able to explain this toy concept perfectly. I was able to model the toy quickly using Swivel 3D. I started with the gears, and in the design mode, I was able to enter in the front profile in the cross-section view and the side view in the top and side sections. This gave me a 3D shaded model of the gear. Then I could duplicate that, and using the tween function, I could set the position of the gear, where it started, where it stopped, how many frames it would take it to rotate in between, and this gave me a full working version of the toy on the Mac. Then I built a complete set of parts. And I animated that and exported it. With Swivel 3D and the Mac, I could do more than just present a rough concept. I could actually bring this whole idea to life.
Visualization on the Macintosh allows me to take static 2D sketches and drawings and turn them into animated 3D presentations. Once we're in 3D, things that may have been difficult to see on paper become obvious. For example, my clients at NASA Ames Research wanted to present a very complex robotic vehicle with lots of moving parts to Congress. First, they tried lots of sketches and drawings. But they found that the 2D drawings were just not enough. They really needed to visualize these concepts in 3 dimensions. And that's where the Macintosh, Swivel 3D, and I come in. I realized right away that Swivel 3D was perfect for this job because it allows you to define objects and how they relate in very natural ways, just like your arm. You have finger objects, hand objects, and an arm object. And they all move together, and they're all linked together, yet they bend and move independently. These kinds of relationships are just the kinds of things we can set up with the linking tools in Swivel 3D. As you can see, this robotic arm is linked and constrained to behave just like a human arm. This is the first version of the Space Hub vehicle that I built for them. Now, when they first saw their designs coming to life on the screen like this, they loved it, and they were very excited. But as NASA began to examine it a little closer, they began to discover flaws that they couldn't see on paper. Thus began the refinement process, where each time a change was made to the design, I would build it in Swivel, and they could see right away whether it worked or not. With the Macintosh and Swivel 3D, I was able to create an effective 3D presentation that won NASA Ames Research continued support for the Space Hub vehicle.
For architects, design visualization can be a very expensive and time-consuming proposition. We would always start off with design sketches, which we still do now, but then we move into hardline outlines of buildings, axonometrics, masking models that we'd build ourselves, and then ultimately onto a presentation model built by an outside consultant for a fairly high fee. But today, things have changed thanks to the Macintosh and Model Shop. For a recent job for a developer in Silicon Valley, we were asked to do complete design development for a multi-building project. That's a very lengthy process. We were able to simplify many of the complex and time-consuming tasks using ModelShop and the Macintosh. What we've done here is simply exchange one set of ModelShop solids, the square balconies, for another set of ModelShop solids, the round balconies, and that way we're able to visualize the two design schemes instantly. In the same session, we're able to move on to different design problems. For example, color studies. What we're able to do here is we have a model with white spandrel panels, where if the developer wants to see it with brown spandrel panels, we can do it instantly. We just go into the color ramp, set ramp color, designate the old color, change it to a new color, hit OK, and it'll redesign it with brown spandrel panels, and we're able to take a look at that and say yes or no. With ModelShop, you're also able to import two-dimensional PIC files drawn in other CAD applications and visualize them in 3 dimensions. I know because of the work we did, we were able to help the developer present his ideas visually. The city, the builders, the future tenants were able to view the project from any perspective because we were able to animate the project on Swivel 3D. ModelShop and Macintosh have greatly increased our firm's productivity, and it keeps getting better.
The California Academy of Sciences came to us and asked us to create an interactive presentation explaining evolution for the museum visitor. It was a big problem. They wanted to combine sound, pictures, animations, all in a way that would educate and entertain the viewer and tell the story of evolution.
And be interactive. We knew we were going to use the Macintosh. The problem was which software would work to bring all these elements together.
That's where FilmMaker worked out great for us. Not only does it create high-quality animations, but it has an interactive environment that can link all these elements together.
Animation was an essential part of the project. Many of the features that we were illustrating can't be shown with a single image, still photograph. What FilmMaker allowed us to do was to scan in images, break them down into their component parts, and reassemble them using a hierarchical relationship, which created a sort of a working model, almost like a marionette. What we can do in FilmMaker is we can set the first frame, the 10th frame, the 20th frame, and it will tween a sequence for us that shows the general movement that we want. What we would have had to do otherwise is to use traditional cell animation, and that is tremendously time-consuming, extremely costly, and FilmMaker allowed us to do it in half the time. Not only that, but we could make mock-up models of the movements that we wanted to animate, and we could check those with the researchers before the animation was finished.
The problem for us was to create an interactive environment that the user could browse through to find out more about evolution. By interactive, I mean that you could go wherever you wanted within a large network of information or a tree. FilmMaker's interactive environment allowed us to do this really easily. It's sort of like drawing a flowchart. You can just click and drag and add branches to the tree and put in new elements and sounds and motion and make those all accessible from one main junction of the tree. So you can choose which branch you want to go to, and the branch could open up into more branches. Basically, we're artists, we're not programmers. So the graphic interface of FilmMaker's programming environment was great.
Without FilmMaker and the Macintosh, I'm not sure we would have been able to complete this project.
And it's turned out to be one of the most popular exhibits in the museum.